Well, g'day everyone. My name is Josh Hill and welcome to Authentic AFL podcast, video series, whatever you like to call them. I am the creator of Authentic AFL. We started at the start of this year and just posting some graphics and content throughout the week. But now I want to get into videos because I want to talk and get all the knowledge that's in my head out and really dive deep into what this season's been and then heading into 2023 and what that season's going to look like. Once the grand final is done, we're going to do a review of every single team and then we're going to do a lot more. We're going to go through the trade period, the draft, who wins, who loses. We're going to, as of today, we're going to dive deep into what the All-Australian squad's going to look like and then review that as well. Who's going to be the unluckiest to move out and not get chosen, and who will be the luckiest player to get chosen in the 40-man squad. Usually it's a midfielder because they get chosen on the half-forward flank, or the wing, and they get three midfielders in spots that other players deserve it. So hopefully this year, with Kane Cornes coming out and saying that a genuine wingman will make the All-Australian squad, he better stay to his word. But this is Authentic AFL podcast. I'm really excited. Today has been, I reckon, one of the biggest days in news. We've had the 40-man squad announced. We've had the coach of the Giants announced as well, which I think is massive. McVeigh didn't get it. Adem-Yze didn't get it. But the man, Adam Kingsley, he's an assistant at the Tigers and was an assistant at Port Adelaide and a premiership player at Port Adelaide. He beat out Adem-Yze to the Giants coach. I think that is huge. I think Adem-Yze now will be the next coach of the Essendon Football Club, unless they go down the dumb route of choosing James Hird. So everything is happening in the world of the AFL today. The 40-man squad is massive. I'm going to do a completely separate video on that because that is just huge. But firstly, I just want to say how exciting that round 23 last few games were. Firstly, Brisbane-Melbourne did not live up to the hype, and Melbourne just completely blew Brisbane out of the water to cement a home final. Sydney should have flogged St Kilda to jump then Melbourne and get the home final at the SCG, and that would have been incredible because then they would have played a couple of home finals in Sydney, and that would be amazing for football. I would have loved Carlton to beat Collingwood just so the Blues fans can have something to celebrate, and that the AFL could have got Carlton Collingwood round week one of the finals, or it would have been Richmond Collingwood in that first week of finals. So it's crazy, but we look at it now, and we've got Brisbane Richmond on Thursday night on the 1st of September, then Melbourne Sydney on the 2nd, Geelong Collingwood in a twilight match, which I think is very, very interesting. But I guess you have to play Geelong and Collingwood and Freo Bulldogs on the same day because the loser will play the winner of Freo Bulldogs. And then Freo Bulldogs at 8:10 p.m. at Optus Stadium. I'm going to do my early tips. I'm going to go Richmond, Sydney, Collingwood, and Freo. I think Collingwood will live up to the hype, and I think Geelong have just cruised too much into this final series. They've had some very, very easy games to finish this year. They've played West Coast twice, North Melbourne twice. They've played a couple of other bottom table sides twice as well. But they need to do this the hardest possible way, I think, to really get the credit they deserve, Geelong. So I think Collingwood will win just because they'll be absolutely ecstatic after this weekend, beating Carlton and doing another scrape-through game. But then Geelong need to beat Freo, who have been a top team all year. Then I think they need to beat either Sydney or Melbourne and Richmond to really say that they deserve this win. So I would love them to lose against Collingwood, then play Freo, and then see where they go next. It'll be very, very interesting. So that's the final series as it's shaped, but how good was round 23? It started off with Brisbane-Melbourne, as I said, and that was just an absolute demolition. I think Dane Zorko deserves a week suspension for the things he said to Harrison Petty, because footy play just doesn't react like Petty did after Zorko said some really, really terrible things. And I think the Players Association needs to look at that as well as the AFL, because that is not on. No player should be treated in that way like Petty did. And Zorko, as a captain and as someone who was really, really respected by the AFL, I think deserves to be punished for that one. But that was a cracker. GWS and Freo, that was a really, really good game until the last quarter, and Freo really flexed their muscle and sent Nat Fyfe to Sam Taylor, who I think did a really, really good job. Fyfe was pretty quiet for most of the day, but then in that last quarter took Taylor up the ground and really took the influence away. And I think that's something that Freo are going to be looking at doing all season, all final series. They'll do it with the Western Bulldogs, and I'd love them to play Melbourne, and Fyfe versus May would be elite. It'd be incredible. But they get Lobb, Taberner, Griffin Logue back hopefully next week, in 2 weeks, so that'll be really, really exciting. And then Richmond flexed their muscle. Port Adelaide finished the season strong in the showdown. And then you got to Sunday. Sunday was the biggest day in football we've had in a long, long time to end the season. You had the Hawks Bulldogs, which everyone thought the Bulldogs would just wipe the floor. They'd cement their top 8 spot, but the Hawks really took it to them for 3 quarters. I am a Hawks supporter, so I was really happy with the way we performed. We just ran out of legs in the last quarter. Sorry, Blues supporters. But just the excitement around that if the Hawks won, Carlton didn't have to do anything. And as it happened, the Bulldogs won. They got in the top 8, and then it came down to that game. Carlton-Collingwood, 88,000 at the MCG, which I've talked to a few people, and it felt like 100,000 with the noise that was happening around them. And that lived up to every single little bit of hype. The live ladder kept changing. The percentages went up and down. Collingwood jumped in the 4, then dropped out. Carlton jumped in the 8, then dropped out. It was a roller coaster of emotions. And watching it with some passionate Carlton supporters, it was heartbreaking to see the reaction. Really, really heartbreaking. You felt for Michael Voss and you felt for Paddy Cripps, who literally did absolutely everything he could to get his team over the line, and just didn't do that in the first quarter, didn't play a full quarter effort, and I think that's where it cost them in the end. They didn't get enough run-off half-back as well. So with Carlton and Collingwood, their problem, I think, for Collingwood now, going into finals, is they don't play through the middle of the ground enough. They only do it if they have absolute every little bit of time and space, and I think that's where they're going to probably get cut apart by teams like Sydney, Richmond, who run through the middle of the ground really well, Freo, who do the same. It's all about how dominant your half-backmen are at two-way running. So for even Brisbane, Kadeem Coleman, Daniel Rich, they're incredible off half-back. Then you got Richmond, you got Daniel Rioli, Jaden Short can float back there, Baker, even Voston can have a good run off there as well, but he'll take someone's key forward. Sydney, you've got Mills, you got Blakey. Melbourne, you got Langdon who floats back there, Brayshaw who goes back there, and a few others in that as well. Geelong, you got so many options in that. Collingwood, you got Dacos and Pendlebury, which I think are the smartest moves of the season. With Maynard, Crisp, they've got so many options coming off half-back as well. Freo have just about every player that can come off half-back. They're incredible to watch. The Bulldogs, I think they'll get done first week of finals at Optus Stadium. Because of that, that is the most important part of our game at the moment. It's attacking football. And if you're not attacking from the half-back flank to then break lines, push through the middle of the ground, you're not going to win. And because Freo do that well. Richmond have been incredible at that. I'm excited to see where Dusty fits in that team. Now coming into finals, it's going to be really, really exciting. But yeah, it's a massive, massive final series. I am going to do an early tip that it will be Richmond and Sydney in the grand final. I think Geelong have peaked too early again, and they looked very different from previous years. They've got some great plays in there, but they haven't really had a challenge in the last few weeks. So if they're going to do it, they will have to do it the hard way, I think. They'll lose that first week of finals against Collingwood. I think the crowd of the Pies will turn up to that away game on a Saturday afternoon. And then you got to do it against Richmond. You got to do it against Sydney, Freo, who I think are really, really strong and very underrated at the moment. Everyone's talking about Melbourne and Geelong, but no one's really talking about Sydney and Richmond. And then the hype Freo have about sending Mundy off on the best possible note with Freo's first flag, I think would be the highlight of the season to finish off one of the greatest seasons we've ever had. So they are my early predictions. It's an exciting time of year. Finals footy, I'm pumped. I am going for the Tigers in this and Sydney because I have a soft spot for the Tigers. My wife's family goes for the Tigers. They're passionate supporters. And then Sydney, just seeing the Bloods culture really firing, I think is really, really powerful. But then Nat Fyfe, you never know what he's going to do in a final series. So there's a lot of aspects of the finals, and I can't wait to break that down during the week. But for now, that is our episode 1 of Authentic AFL. Little wrap-up of the season. It's been a crazy ride, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for a lot of these teams. Where's Brodie Grundy going to go? What's going to happen with all of these teams? Are Brisbane going to plummet after this year? And Melbourne's still going to be the powerhouse. If Geelong win, how many of their players will retire? There's a lot of questions around this season, and I can't wait to try and dive into them and hopefully get some answers as well. So that is Authentic AFL Podcast, Episode 1, down pat. It's a wrap-up of the season so far in the quickest possible way without diving way too deep into it. But we'll do a team-by-team analysis in a couple of weeks. We will go through the All-Australian squad, and far out, there's some unlucky selections and unlucky people that are missing out, but also some good things that have been done throughout that 40-man squad. So that is me signing off. I will see you in the next one. Peace.